It had been years since I last canoed, but last night the idea had been put forth that we should take the small craft on the lake for a bit of exploration, provided the weather was nice and there was nothing better to do. Paul had built himself a little trailer out of an old golf buggy, and we were anxious to give it a try. I had a little trouble at first, but eventually managed to get the canoe down to the lakefront with relative ease. Vanessa came and helped us load the canoe into the water. I hopped in first, and although I showed great enthusiasm towards starting the expedition, I found myself going nowhere very fast. We passed a sailboat for sale just a few yards off the beach that even came with a net to keep the assorted critters away from you. With the canoe only giving us a clearance of about 6 inches above the waterline, I found myself slightly concerned that the mythical Lake Conjola water dragon would come up and swallow us whole in one giant snap of his jaw. I even thought I saw his eyeball raised just above the water as we first got into the boat, but it turned out to be just a partially submerged tree branch.
It's pretty nice out on the water.
There was little wind on the lake at this time of the morning, and the water was still, and the boat barely rocked as we made our way from shore. Although I'd seen the entire lake on Google Earth, I was interested in exploring every cove and inlet and mapping them out for myself like a cartographer on the ships of yore exploring the world's frontiers. But in the end, my attempt ended up looking more like Michael J. Fox trying to draw an Easter egg. I'd been out on Lake Conjola before, a few years previous. That time I'd been on a powerboat with the wind ripping the hair from my scalp and fruitlessly trying to water ski for more than 5 seconds at a time. And apart from us, these boats made up the rest of the day's water-going population, most of them passing us by, towing children with looks of complete horror on their faces while being driven by fathers wearing ear-to-ear grins of delight. As we got into the open, the wind picked up and the water became a little more choppy, but never so much as to make us uncomfortable. After rowing continuously for half an hour, we decided to take a break and soak up the ambience of the lake. As an American coming to Australia, I always assumed the most frightening and deadly creature to be around every corner. My biggest reservation about canoeing on Lake Conjola was that it would be filled with crocodiles, snakes, and water lizards, and we never got a sight of any of those, or even the mythical Lake Conjola water dragon. And the closest we came was a pterodactyl, a group of kangaroos, and a couple of fathers taking their kids fishing. Later in the afternoon, the clouds began to disappear, and I was forced to take off my jacket, no doubt catching a bit of skin cancer in the process. Not long after that, we decided to turn back and head in for lunch. I looked for the Richardson Holiday House up on the hill before realizing I had absolutely no recollection of what the place looked like, and then remembering you couldn't see it from the middle of the lake anyways. As we passed the sailboat for sale, we saw Paul and Deborah waiting for us at the shore. Paul had his new camera out and ordered us to make another quick loop around the cove as his camera wasn't ready. When we got out of the canoe, we rejoiced in the fact that we hadn't been eaten, fallen out, or even dropped the camera in the water. However, we are still waiting for word on that skin cancer.